Hi guys, welcome to the Farghini channel. I'm your host Farshad Tehrani, and we're going to try something new today. So I'm here with my cousins. They have this amazing studio. I want to do an in-studio shoot where we talk about the new Tesla CyberTruck. So let me introduce Hamid.
I'm Hamid. I'm Hamid S on Twitter.
You're a tech guy. You have a tech company. You love Teslas. You know a lot about Tesla. You're actually invested in Tesla, and you were at the CyberTruck event.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. Now, to me, the CyberTruck presentation was one of the funniest comedies that has ever been made in this world. To me, we'll take people through the presentation, the good parts of the presentation.
Okay.
I'll let them know what I think. You let us know what you think because you were actually there. How's that?
Yeah,
okay?
let's do it.
So for the first 3 minutes, okay? The first 3 minutes, I was on my phone, okay?
Okay.
I saw the cool set, the lasers. I was like, man.
That was a cool set.
We're about to see something really special because they're going all out on this set. Then was it a holographic like lady came on, right? We'll see like a hologram, some cyber.
I didn't see it.
So some cyber girl comes and introduces her maker or her master or whatever.
I now present to you my creator.
Right.
And Elon comes out, okay? So one of my favorite things about Elon is, A, he was wearing like a leather bomber jacket, right? It was like a leather bomber jacket and jeans.
Welcome to the CyberTruck Unveil.
And he just didn't look like your classic automotive executive giving a presentation.
He's not a sleazy car salesman.
He's not a
That's what you're
sleazy. Okay.
saying. All right.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So
I give you
Elon,
that.
Elon comes up and he starts talking, and you can tell he has no teleprompter. He's
Right.
going straight, and he's a bit awkward, right?
He's genuine, but he's not the greatest presenter, I would say. Yeah, no, I mean, I think all of that is accurate. It was like a beautiful set. He came on and started talking about like trucks and how they've been the same for 100 years, and he showed a bunch of like pictures of trucks in the past.
Funny thing is, he had a Dodge, a Chevy, and a Ford. He took the emblems off, and he's like, you can't even tell, which one is which. So he started the presentation with that. I'm like, oh great, we're about to really get into this. So at this point, I'm like, this is worthy for me to put it on my gigantic TV. Did whatever I had to do to take it from my phone to my TV, which took like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute, okay?
Okay.
You guys, let me show you guys how the car was introduced. I missed all that, okay? Because of the transferring of my phone to my TV, okay? When my TV started showing the broadcast, this is what I saw.
Doesn't look like anything else.
So, Hamid, you tell us what you saw, and I'll tell people what I saw.
No, I mean, it was a very surprising look for a truck, right? Like no one expected a triangular looking truck. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like he surprised everyone. And there's no question about that, right? Like and I think that was part of the strategy is to surprise everyone. And he's been telling us for 2 years that it's going to be a truck like you've never seen before, right?
That's an understatement. I
mean, it's a correct statement.
Okay, Hamid, so I'll give you my take on it. I looked and I literally was like blinking. I was like, what? Like what? That can't be. I was like, Elon Musk is a comedic genius. This dude is about to prank all of us and bring out the real Cybertruck. Okay? Did you have that same feeling? Did anyone
No.
in there have that feeling?
No, I knew this was the truck, but I was shocked and I was concerned, right? Like, so I thought, holy cow, that's a huge departure from like the norm. And I wasn't sure how it was gonna, like be received. Like I was going through a series of emotions myself.
Tell us your emotions.
Yeah, I mean,
and by the way, please speak freely. I know you're an investor and nothing's going to happen to the stock. Speak freely.
Of course, I only speak freely. But okay, so I wrote an article about it that there's only 2 words can describe it. There was shock and then there was awe, right? Like the shock and awe, right? Like Donald Rumsfeld gave us this, coined this phrase. But anyway, the shock was everyone was shocked with the look and feel of this truck or the look of this truck. And then as you learned more about it, the more you learned, the more you're like, oh my God, this is pretty incredible, right?
So you're talking about the toughness of this thing, right? One of my favorite lines from Elon was,
You want a truck that's really tough, not fake tough?
So he starts talking about the steel, and I'll put up the specs like the cold rolled steel, and even my uncle was like, "Whoa, it's like cold forged 18. Like they've never done that." I was like, "I have no idea what any of that means." So then, first of all, who's Franz? This guy Franz comes out.
The chief designer.
He's the chief. Okay, so Franz brings out a sledge.
Designed most of the cars, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, wow. We'll talk about design later. Okay, so Franz did the Cybertruck also. He designed it?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, by the way, I can draw the Cybertruck also. Here we go. So Franz comes out with a sledgehammer. Okay.
Yeah.
And he whacks a regular truck door, right?
Yeah.
And the door just crumbles. Then Elon goes, "Hey, Franz, why don't you give a whack on the Cybertruck?" Right?
Right.
Okay, so at this point, I'm like, this is a real elaborate comedy. Like, he's really, like, layering the comedy into this. So Franz goes, whacks it, right? Nothing. Right? I was like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
What was everyone's impression when he first whacked the door?
It's impressive, right? Like, I think that most people had never expected to have such features in a vehicle, right? Like, so you talk about the toughness of the vehicle, and a truck gets banged up quite a bit, especially if you're actually using it for work. So not having those bangs actually create dents and scratches in your car is a pretty big deal. So once you see that this is an option, like there's a vehicle out there that's practically bulletproof,
All right.
then you're like, damn, I didn't know I needed that, but now that I know that exists, I have to have that, right? Like why, and especially if you don't have to pay a premium for it, why would you want any other truck?
Correct.
So yeah, that was my impression.
My impression was like, first of all, let me tell you what I, at this point, I'm like, okay, this car looks like a low-budget sci-fi movie with very limited budget for the vehicle in the movie.
For the CGI.
So they're like, no, they couldn't even afford CGI. They're like, listen, they went some production designer car guy. They're like, listen, man, we have very limited budget. We need something from the future. And then I'm like, why is he wasting so much time and energy on this thing? Like, when is the real Cybertruck gonna come out? This is the point where I think like the comedy peaked in this presentation. Elon proceeds to tell everyone that the Cybertruck can stop a 9mm bullet. When he said that and showed the graphics, I'll show you guys, I almost fell off my couch from laughter. Because at this point, it was like, look at this ridiculous looking truck, right? Like you can't hammer the door, and now it's bulletproof, right?
Right. Why is that ridiculous? So like, yeah, tell me why that's ridiculous, right?
Because the claims are just like the claims are are layered on top of the other, and they're ridiculous claims. Like it could stop a 9mm. It could stop a 9mm bullet.
You don't believe the claim, or you're saying that's like an awesome feature, and that's what makes it ridiculous.
Okay,
because it sort of depends on what you're saying.
By the way,
right? Like
we're a week and a half after this, right? So
Right.
we'll talk about the aftermath. But at the time,
Yeah.
I was
No,
like,
no.
get the out of here.
No, I agree. I mean, like literally, that was a like get the F out of here moment. But like, it's in the form of like, oh my God, that's so cool, right?
Yes.
Like here's a normal sort of like. By the end of it, you find out that it's a normal price truck that happens to be bulletproof. So then you're like, all right, I'll take that, right?
So-
like, what is this?
So after I recouped from the falling off my couch, and I really thought, first thing that I thought, because I live in Los Angeles, I know you live Arizona and Los Angeles, and we're having some issues in Los Angeles with crime and stuff. I was like,
There you go. It's safe and
I
drive
was like,
by.
my daughter's mom might be getting a Cybertruck because it's inherently comes out of the factory that can stop a 9mm bullet, right? So now that I think about it, I'm like, that's pretty cool. If you're really
That's exactly what everyone's going to think. Is that like if you have an option to get a bulletproof car, same price you can get a non-bulletproof
yeah,
car.
I'm getting the bulletproof, especially in LA. I'm especially getting the bulletproof car.
Right. Hopefully you're never having bullets shot at you. But,
But it's just like owning a very high-powered car. You really can't never go 200, 211, 215 miles an hour, but it's all about knowing if you wanted to, you can you can go. So it gives you a little sense of safety, like just in case, like a 9mm. The only thing is, I don't know in the streets like what the major like caliber that the criminals have. Is it a 9, a 38, whatever? But regardless, and the comedy didn't stop there. Okay. Next, he tells us he has what was it, clear metal or something, transparent metal.
right. The glass.
Yeah, it's the Tesla armored glass, right? So I'm like, okay, like we have armored glass. Like that's not a big thing, right? We have armored glass. I mean, there's bulletproof glass.
Right. Like, yeah.
No
I mean,
big deal.
the big deal is that it's like not $100,000 to sort of retrofit the vehicle with.
So he does a demo, right? He takes a cylindrical metal ball, right, and he drops it on a regular window glass, right? Shatters. Brings in the Tesla glass. Boom. Nothing happens. That was really impressive. I was like, all right, that's cool.
And they kept raising it higher and
Right,
higher.
higher and higher. And by the way, what was people's reaction like when they're seeing all this stuff there?
You couldn't see it very well from the audience because the stage was raised, but I mean, like, I think the sentiment was impressive, right?
Yeah,
like impressive glass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is where the real comedy comes in here. Okay. So Franz comes out again, right?
Right.
And they hand Franz the ball, the spherical ball,
Yeah.
right?
This
And
is a steel ball.
yeah,
by the
look
way.
at
It's
yeah.
like
And by the
a
way,
heavy
I'll show you
steel
guys.
ball.
Franz actually throws it on the ground. He goes, it doesn't even like there was no bounce to it. It just
Right.
went,
This is not a golf ball, which a golf ball will break any glass in a normal car. This is like something that weighs like, I don't know, 20 times.
yeah,
Like,
it was at least a 5-6 pound, 7 pound like
Steel ball.
Steel ball, right? So Elon gestures to Franz, "Hey man, go ahead and throw this spherical ball at the window." Franz actually asks,
Sure? Yeah.
"Are you sure?" He asks, "Are you sure?" Elon goes, "Yes." Franz winds up, throws the ball, and as you guys saw, it just shattered, right?
right.
I was like, oh my God. That's when I was convinced it was a comedy show. I swear to you, Hamid, I swear to you, I was convinced he actually produced a comedy show. And
No, that was
in there.
that was definitely not planned. I mean, you could tell it was not planned. His response was something like, "Oh my effing God" or whatever.
Yeah.
And the person next to me actually noticed that the ball didn't go through the glass and yelled out, "But it didn't go through the glass," And then like he responded that as well. Everyone was like in silence, like feeling bad for him because
Yeah.
they knew something had
Didn't
gone
go as-
wrong, right? Like, and the crowd was more concerned for Elon. Like, you still need to do the rest of this presentation,
Right.
and things have gone wrong. And this was something that was completely unexpected. No one expected, bulletproof glass, essentially.
Right.
So it was also like not that big of a deal. Fundamentally, I think people have made a much bigger deal about, and like there's been too much focus. Like all the headlines are like
Right.
the sort of reveal went wrong or whatever. But
That's the clickbait. That's what everyone's gonna clickbait about.
yeah, it may have even worked to Tesla's favor. It's like, wow, nobody else would have done this. A, B, like
Right.
no other window would have survived, and the
Right.
ball would have gone through. And
Right.
C, now everyone knows about the CyberTruck. So.
Actually, you know what he should have immediately done? Taken that door that they hit with the sledgehammer. If the window's still in there, throw the window to show like how badly it goes through it. Also, another thing. Bullet. I don't think you can say bulletproof. They're all bullet resistant because nothing is bulletproof. But what the CyberTruck did is actually what every single bullet resistant glass does. It shatters, it dissipates the energy, but it doesn't let you go through. So at first I laughed. I thought it was funny, but then I was like, it didn't go through. Like it is like it's like a bullet resistant glass. So then Franz goes, "Hey, let me do the back window." And Elon's like, "You sure?" And I love how Franz asked him if he's sure. And then I watched it before we did this, Hamid.
Yeah,
I
okay,
watched the whole thing. So Elon asks Franz now, "Hey, are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah." So they throw it at a less velocity. Same thing. But again, it didn't go through. Now, on a serious note, we'll get to the price. But for the price of the basic truck, if I gave that to my baby mama, right? I would feel great every single day knowing they're going to school and back, and then they're in this like humongous thing was like bulletproof and
the fact is that like how many people have had a little like pebble hit their glass and it's sort of like gets a crack and you have to get your window replaced. And what you know from this demo is that that's not going to happen to the CyberTruck,
Correct.
right? Like you're not going to be replacing windows, which I've already done in my Raptor twice, my front windshield. So that's the type of thing that is going to be prevented from a stronger glass.
So I also love that Elon had actually a list of things. He's like, we threw a wrench at it. He's like, literally, we threw a kitchen sink at it and nothing happens. By the way, a couple theories on why the glass broke that they say.
Yeah.
One was they said they shouldn't have
Sledgehammered
sledgehammered it. because
I saw that.
But then that doesn't explain the back window.
The back window, yeah.
Right. And then the other thing was, they said they literally were throwing 50 objects at it, one after the other, before the presentation. And unfortunately, the 51st one, but no one ever knows. I mean,
it's called going wrong during a
course,
demo, live demo. It happens to all of us.
But he handled it like a champ. Like he used comedy and he got through and he went through it.
It's like, room for improvement. That was a perfect response.
Yeah. But by the way, I think what saved the entire thing is that they didn't go through. Because if the glass would have went through, then it's a completely different story. Because you can see the building blocks of where that technology can go, right?
Right. And you know that there's basically, as a result of that happening, the glass is going to be even stronger than it would have been, right? Like, because, clearly Elon's going to make sure of that. Like, he's that type of person is just, So.
By the way, Elon, if it happens on the next demo, like that's no, you gotta make sure. Like, I think on the next demo, they're gonna build one, like it's gonna come out of the factory, and they're like, nobody touch it, nobody throw anything at it until my presentation. So next, Elon's like, let's talk about some of the performance, let's talk about some of the specs of the car. And behind them, there's a screen. You see a F-150 truck, and you see the CyberTruck, and you see a chain. And they were having a tug of war. Okay, so you guys check it out. My favorite part is that at the last sentence Elon says is, "Oh, that was uphill."
Right.
Okay. Now there's some controversy this week with that video, right? And Ford is saying, "Hey, why don't you use like an apples to apples kind of truck?" Because obviously I looked at the truck. It does look like a lower tiered two-wheel drive F-150, and I don't even think it's the current generation F-150.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the details of that, but I would not put my money on the Ford.
I was going to say, even if they bring out, even a Raptor, right? Bring out the Raptor,
At this point, by the way, Elon has already said, bring it on to Ford's response that, like, hey, why don't we do apples to apples? Because they know that electric has the advantage, right? Like, and then there's silence from Ford. So, it'll be interesting to see.
Question, do you know it? Because he said the truck in the video was the same truck on display. So that was the dual motor one?
The one we took a ride in was dual motor.
The one on stage, we don't know what, because if that was the dual motor.
I don't know. The one we took a ride in was dual motor, did not have broken glass. I don't know if they fixed the broken glass.
This is what I heard, that was the truck you went in a ride in. They took it out back, swapped the glass out, and took everyone in.
Pretty freaking impressive.
And by the way, that's a real humble brag that he's not saying either. He's not even saying I put up the tri-motor one.
Right.
This was the dual motor one that demolished. But even I'm sorry, Ford, even if you put a Raptor against this, even if you put 100 horsepower on top of your Raptor.
Well, interesting, Raptor actually has a lower tow capacity than their normal F-150s, and I don't know if it's because it's raised or what the deal is. So like, some of the normal F-150 trucks might actually have a higher tow capacity than like their, spoofed up, raised. The ones that look meaner are actually weaker.
Oh, yeah, of course, a stock one. Okay, that'll be an interesting one. I'm curious to see if. And by the way, this could be another discussion, but Ford did invest in a company called Rivian, which is making their own truck. So that's going to be really interesting because now Ford
$70,000 electric.
But now Ford. But here's the thing: with Ford's check, they now have a vehicle that could be like, all right, Tesla, let's go and see. Like, that's a quick way for them to bring something in to compete.
Well, not really, because Ford was like challenging Tesla that like they weren't using the right F-150. So, and the F-150 is the king of trucks right now, right? They sell 1 million of them or whatever. So if it beats the F-150, Ford is in trouble, in serious trouble. If their sales go down 10%, it's game over for Ford because most of their profits come from the last 100,000 F-150s that they sell. So, that's not going to bode well. Yeah. And I think that Ford is going to have fewer truck sales as a result of the possibility of a Cybertruck the following year, as early as next year.
Oh, you're saying people are gonna wait until it comes out instead of
they're going to postpone their truck purchasing decision because of the Cybertruck, and I think that's where it becomes super interesting because the entire truck sales might take a dive in 2020 despite the lack of the Cybertruck being out. Right?
Like, so, everyone's going to be like, why are truck sales like down?
Yeah. And then the headlines will read, like Tesla is entering truck market at the worst time because, like truck sales are down. You're right. But it's going to be because of Tesla that truck sales are going to be down next year.
So that was the kind of like his off-road kind of performance. Then he's like, all right, let's talk about the on-road performance. And he displayed some of the specs. 2.9 seconds, 0 to 60 on the tri-motor
Right.
version. But the crazier number, the 2.9 number is a crazy, ridiculous number.
Right.
But the crazier number is the quarter mile number.
Right.
It does it in I believe it's 10.8 seconds. Here's the thing, in quarter mile racing, below 10 seconds is your holy grail.
Right.
10, even 9:59, you're like, whoa, that's bonkers. That is ridiculous. Like
For a truck especially,
a McLaren 720S, I believe it does it around the 10-second mark. You know, that's a $350,000 car.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much engineering went into it, how much aerodynamic work went into
Even
it?
more important than the quarter mile time, I would say, is the 500-mile range. Tesla has never had a 500-mile range vehicle. And then for them to put 500-mile range on a $70,000 truck is mind-blowing, because like right now you can't buy a $120,000 Tesla that has 500
Oh,
mile
I
range.
understand what you're saying.
So
you're getting great range at great price, better than
ridiculous
any other.
price, right?
Got
Like,
it.
so there's a lot of people who would love to have a 500-mile range in their Model X or their
Right.
S, but they don't have that. And then the truck has it for 70
For 70 grand, yeah.
That is a game changer, right? Like,
Right.
there's people who are going to be like, well, if I want a long range, my only choice is the CyberTruck.
True.
So,
yeah, very true.
and it's got the longest range of any EV. So that in itself is far more important than even the 2.9 seconds 0
Of course,
to
of
60,
course.
which is mind-blowing. And then you have a
Of course.
truck that's going to beat a Porsche.
Yeah, that's another thing. So he mentions the 2.9 seconds 0 to 60. So he shows another clip, and he goes, let's see how it does against the current 911. Now, here's the thing. I don't know. I couldn't tell which version of the 911 is. You know, there's 50,000 different versions of the 911. But even, I understand what Elon is trying to do. He's trying to say, hey, look, take the even the lowest tier 911 is still a true sports car,
Right.
and it just demolishes that car.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Exactly. That's what he's saying. Like
Yeah.
now you take all of this ridiculousness and package it up into like an amazing,
Package, yeah.
like you put bulletproof, ridiculous price.
Do you see? This is why I was laughing at the comedy. It was
Yeah,
just
I mean
like-
it's not, but it's not comedy because like every other car company is going to be crying,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think one of the things you said that was interesting is that like if Ford execs were watching this thing, the moment it was revealed, they were like, oh, good, we have
Yeah,
time.
for sure. Yeah, for
and
sure.
and I think the exact opposite. The moment this thing was revealed, if they watched the rest of the presentation, by the end of it, they should have been crying, knowing that, holy cow, he is going to destroy, like Elon Musk and Tesla are going to destroy the truck, the field, because just like the Model S did, just like the Model X did, just like the Model 3 did, it will become the #1 selling truck in the category.
It's possible. We don't know, but you do know Ford doesn't see it like that. Chevy doesn't see it like that.
No, they are too stupid to see it that way. I saw a freaking excerpt of an interview with the VP of sales of Toyota, who was like, people don't want EVs. Our consumers are not demanding EVs. So these guys have their head in the sand.
Correct.
GM, president of GM today, there's an article on CNN that says president of GM says there's 3 things that are prohibiting EV adoption. Number 1 is range. Number 2 is charging network, and number 3 is price. Does somebody want to tell this guy that Tesla
got it all covered? All 3 of this covered.
They have the longest range. They have a charging network that's faster than it, and they already destroyed you on price. So, I think
they're projecting their own issues they're having right now internally.
Yes, for sure. Like they have their head in the sand, and they have no idea what's coming.
But also, Hamid, if you're a car company selling 1 million of one model, you think, and you've been doing it, for 42 years.
That's why
you're gonna think you're indestructible.
Yeah.
You're gonna think no one's gonna touch you.
That's right.
Right?
Yep. They think that they have brand loyalty, but the reality is that consumers will pick the best solution for their problem. Their problem is either transportation, getting from point A to point B, or in the case of trucks, it's about utility too.
Right.
Like they want power tools to be operated off of their truck. They want to be able to throw stuff in the back, and the cover that like seems to be standard. I don't know if it will be or not, but they demonstrated on that thing with a push of a button. You have the cover coming down, and holy cow, it like goes at a triangle, so like it gives you more cargo space than any other trucks, just right off the bat, and it's built in, and it just wraps around and hides away. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Base model, right,
Yep.
is a 250-mile range.
Yep.
$39,900, right? $39,900 for that model, right?
Right.
And the 0 to 60 was still under 7 seconds, which to me, 7 seconds
Actually,
under
it's
7.
6.5 or lower.
Yeah, by the way, that still will beat a lot of sports-oriented kind of cars right now. The next one was the 300-mile range, right?
Yeah. I think that's going to be the most popular. I suspect that will end up being the one that most people pick.
Here's my issue. The 250 to the 300, it's a $10,000 difference.
But you get an extra motor, too.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay,
you get four-wheel drive instead of rear-wheel drive.
I understand. Okay. So it's single engine, 39.9.
Not engine, but motor, yeah.
mode of propulsion. Okay. One motor, 39.9.
Right.
Dual motor, 49.9. And then the tri-motor, 0 to 60, 2.9 seconds, quarter mile, 10.8, and a range of 500 plus miles for 69.9, right?
Yep.
Is that correct? And Elon did emphasize that's before any incentives or any kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that value proposition?
I mean, it's mind-blowing, especially considering that the like the lowest price Model 3 is $39,900, right, or $39.5 or something like that. So you look at a vehicle that weighs a lot more, is a lot bigger, probably has to have a bigger battery pack to take it the same 250-mile range. So it has a bigger battery, and like they're selling it for the starting point at the same price. So then you're like, okay, how the hell is that even possible? And that's where the simplicity of like the body being, like the folded steel and then not having to be painted. I don't know how many thousands that shaves off the price of a car, but having it to have to go through a paint job is a pretty big deal.
Right.
This thing doesn't have a paint job. It's simpler to build because of all the sort of straight lines. So it might have fewer parts. So the fact that it's bigger, heavier, more material might not be what contributes to its cost. The fact that it's easier to manufacture,
I'm sure that's
because of the labor and stuff, might be what contributes. And then he's counting on a couple years worth of advancements in battery costs and things of that nature as well. One thing he said in a tweet, by the way, later, which was kind of interesting, is that they also hope to improve some manufacturing, or even, I think he may have said invent some manufacturing techniques to create it. And I was like, oh, like I hope that invention or like that improvement goes smoothly.
That it doesn't delay because he's waiting to make that.
Because the last thing investors want is for him to have to sleep at the manufacturing.
Again. Right. At this point, the presentation was basically over. He's about to walk off stage, and he does one more thing, and he blurts out, "We made an ATV."
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, some cyber futuristic guy comes on a super futuristic ATV, and then again, I'm like, this is a comedy show. This is like, if I'm sitting there writing a comedy show, I'd be like, at the end, I'm going to bring an ATV. The ATV comes up. He walks up to the CyberTruck, pushes a button, and then we get to see for the first time, like back rolls up, the front comes out, and the front, what's it called? The tailgate.
The tailgate.
Tailgate turns into a ramp.
That was amazing. That's when you start seeing, oh, wow, these guys have thought things through quite a bit, and this is not just like some like mock-up that they put together. They've been working on this thing for several years. I mean, they showed a clip of the lights at the unveiling of the semi-truck event, which was the Roadster event as well 2 years ago. So for at least 2 years, they've had some sort of prototype that they've been working around with, and that's a reflection of how much thought has gone into this thing. And then you're like, wow. I've needed a ramp in my truck. I've never had a ramp.
Actually, you know what? That is an awesome. That is. I can already see like people taking weird stuff up there.
So when people say like no contractor's ever going to buy the Cybertruck, like contractors are about practicality. They want to lower their fuel costs. They want a truck that's functional. This is going to give them, like, you don't need to have a generator with you. It's going to give you all of the power you need right there built in. It's going to give you a ramp. It's going to give you a cover for all of your tools so they don't fly out. I mean, like, what more could somebody who uses a truck for work ask for? Like, it's all built in. So, this is going to be a game changer for the entire truck industry. So,
by the way, the guy rides up on the ATV, closes the door, plugs the ATV into the Cybertruck for it to charge. So I'm going to assume you're going to be able to plug in your power tools and other kind of stuff.
They already said that you can.
Okay, now That's the game changer in the truck world,
right,
right?
that's
It's just
what I'm
like
saying.
imagine like
It's-
putting your tools in there, you go to a job and like you don't need anything else.
You
Like
have a 100 kilowatt battery like there.
I mean,
or-
this is
or
where I got
probably larger.
I have no idea what the number kilowatts
Like
and stuff is.
basically, you have enough power to power, like the normal tools that contractors use. So if you think about a contractor who uses their truck, let's say 100 miles a day, the remaining 150 miles
that's
of
right.
range,
Yeah.
or 200 miles of range, depending on, or 400 miles of range, depending on which one, they could be using for their power tools at the construction site, right, or at the facility that they go to. And that in itself means that you don't need a generator, you don't need to go gas, you don't need to go to the gas station, which saves you time. You come home, you plug it in, you're done, right? So, and not to mention, if you're driving 100 miles a day times 22 days a month or whatever, you're driving 2,500 miles, 2,200, 2,500 miles a month, you're paying a ton for gas.
Well,
right?
at least $500, $600 a month on gas, some crazy amount like that.
Yeah,
right?
so like if a lot of these trucks give you 10 miles, 12 miles a gallon,
Exactly,
you're using 100 miles of gas. How much is 100 gallons of gas? How much is
Well,
gas?
and
in
LA is
California?
$5 right now.
Yeah, save even $4, right?
Okay.
$4 times 100 gallons. That's $400.
Can't do the math. I mean,
Right.
$400
$400
a month. Yeah.
So you're going to use up about $100 of electricity, 150 maybe. So you got a $200-300 savings right there. It's going to shock and awe.
After the presentation, the graphic comes up, tesla.com/CyberTruck, and Elon goes, "All right, place your orders." Everyone starts clapping, right?
Right.
I go on there and I see the deposit is only $100.
Right.
Okay. Within minutes, my social media feed, all the order, like people that don't even know what a Tesla is ordered this, that. Where are we at right now? Like a week after, where are we with the numbers?
So the last number he released was on Sunday night, which was 200,000, over 200,000.
Okay, hold on.
orders.
I'm gonna try my hardest to do this math. Hold on.
Okay.
100 each.
20 million.
Okay, thank you. 20 million. Okay, 20 million. So
Right.
so out of nowhere, 20 million in his pocket.
But I mean, the thing is, that's nothing, right? They have 5 billion cash in the bank. But like, this is the part that's kind of crazy, is that when they took $1,000 deposit for the Model 3, they got a ton of criticism because that was like 400,000 times $1,000. They got $400 million
Wow.
of deposit.
Those were the numbers back then?
Yeah, for the
Wow.
Model 3. So,
Wow.
so they got a ton of criticism that they're, like trying to figure it out now, that they needed that cash to, actually build this thing. So over time, they've actually like recently lowered the deposit, the barrier to like put an order, because of all the criticism they were getting that they were holding people's money and how much of that money is like really not theirs of the cash that they have. So they brought it down to $100, so you show intent that you actually have interest, but it doesn't really mean anything. It's like a rounding error to their numbers, right? When you have 5 billion cash sitting there, 20 million means literally nothing. 1% of 5 billion is more than 50 million. So yeah, I mean, the 20 million is irrelevant. But what is way more important is that at a $50,000 average purchase, let's say, you're talking about 200,000 times 50,000. Now that is $10 billion in pre-orders.
Okay.
That's a game changer.
Okay, so Mother, how do you counter the people that don't really know what's going on, but they see things in the headlines like 200,000 orders, $100 raised 20 million, and I showed you a message that I got from someone saying, "Hey, this guy's a scam.
He's a con artist. He's
artist."
now taking $20 million worth of people's money to go figure out how to build a truck. To people like that, you cannot respond positively and like convince them that 20 million means nothing to a company that has 5 billion.
But also,
cash
20
in the
million
bank.
is a lot of money to a lot of people. You know what?
To an individual, but to a company that's like built, like each gigafactory or like manufacturing facility to build these things is going to cost billions of dollars.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, you gotta just take that with a grain of salt.
So I mean, another issue. Like realistic. You have a place in LA. You're Angelino. We have a huge traffic problem in LA. Like, it's going bananas.
Right.
All of a sudden, we now have, like, because most orders came from, like, California. We now are going to have these humongous things all over the road looking for parking spots, going to mess up ballet. Like,
Yes.
how do you counter that?
Well, first of all, cars were already getting bigger. It's not because of Tesla. Everybody's going towards SUVs and large vehicles anyway. But the good news is that like they're going to be shared over time. So there's going to be fewer cars.
What do you mean shared?
Because as there's going to be self-driving cars, you can like buy one car and share it with like 5 people, right? Like
so I could be an Uber driver at home?
essentially your car can be the
my
Uber
car
driver.
can be and the best part is my car, I promise, will not talk to you when you're in there.
That'll be the best driver, right? But you know, over time there'll be fewer cars, but that doesn't necessarily fix the traffic problem. But you know, then we got to talk about the boring companies, Elon Musk's other
to
address the traffic issue, right?
Okay, Hamid, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else you want to say about Tesla or anything
my
else?
prediction is that it'll be another number 1 truck, selling truck.
By what year? Give us a year.
So 2022, they're going to fix the manufacturing problems, and by 2023, they should have it smoothed out.
Okay.
So
give me
I would
a
say
year.
2023, it'll overtake the F-150.
2023, we're going to see Okay, guys, 2023, it's going to be the best-selling truck in the U.S. or the world?
US.
And
the US.
the U.S. Excellent. Okay, we will see.
All right.
Hamid, I appreciate, by the way, thank you so much for letting me use this amazing studio.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate this, and I hope to do this again when I'm back.
Yep, you
Thank
got it. Take care.
I really hope you enjoy this. Please, as always, if you enjoy any of my content, or actually, if you don't even enjoy it, please subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. Please leave a comment. Help me with algorithms so I can get bigger and do more of these, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.